Hello guys, this is Peter the Warner Brothers Universal and Paramount fan 2002 here. On this episode of my TV show review series, I'll be reviewing a Jetix and Disney XD show from 2008 to 2011, and that is Kid vs. Cat. Oh my fucking god, why did I do that? I can't believe that I watched this shit when I was a kid back then. It almost made me sad, or even angry. The show was premiered in 2008. The show was originally aired on Jetix, Disney Channel, Disney XD in United States and other countries, and YTV in Canada. On to the characters. This time I'll talking about the characters from worst to best. I'll start with the worst. Number 1, Phoebe. She is an unlikable creepy stalker who spends most of her time pestering Coop because of her obsessive crush on him. If you were thinking Tootsie from the Fairly Odd Parents was one example of a Yandere to Timmy Turner, then you're wrong since you're looking at another example. In fact, she can come off as the Canadian equivalent of Tootie considering their similar behavior. She cannot take a hint that Coop's not interested in her, which is why Coop always screams whenever she shows up in front of him by Coop shouting, "Ah, Phoebe," in her debut speaking episode Cookie Dough, when she tells Millie if she beats her, she wanted to spend the afternoon with Coop, but Millie makes it a week instead and she agrees to it. In class act, she not only was on the stage in front of Coop, but she continuously was saying me so she can be picked to volunteer for the magic act, but Coop chose Bert instead. When Kat screwed up Coop and Dennis's magic performance, she along with Millie, Lorne and Harley continuously chanted "Bring him back." After Lorne and Harley booed at Coop and Dennis and after Millie was screaming, "And you'll be so sorry," she tells Coop that they're going to see each other at every pet show and even sharing a love seat, and she even mentions that the trainer travels with the team. In House of Scream, she scares Coop by telling him that she's going to hold him for the whole House of Horrors tour and made him uncomfortable. In Storm Drain, she held a sign that said "I love Coop" while cheering for Coop. In The Kitty Vanishes, when Coop got teleported to her sweetheart party by Kat, she fed him a cookie and gave him a milkshake without his consent. She even teased Coop and even called him Cooper Duper, which Lorne and Harley, including everybody except for Dennis, who was at her sweetheart party, laughs at Coop, and Lorne even called him Cooper Duper. When Kat makes Coop give her chocolates, she thinks Coop was the one that gave her the chocolates. She also calls Coop Coopy, Coopy Bye and Coopy B, like they're dating or even married. In Capture the Cat, she told Coop that she wanted to team up with him, which made Coop uncomfortable. In Cat Whisperer, she forced Coop to whisper to Honey Fluff in an uncomfortable way and thought he had special powers and told everybody about it. In Hack Attack, she makes a show which is a song about Coop, which made Coop uncomfortable, and kissed him in front of a crowd, which made them think that Coop likes her, which got Coop embarrassed, and she even took Coop's basketball when Coop missed a shot so she can make one. She even forced the people from a show to put banners of her, shirts of her which old lady Munson is wearing, pictures of her and flags of her. The song she was singing about Coop goes like this: "His name is Coop and I love him. I sing this song for my Coopy." She called him Coopy like she did in the same episode when she hosted a sweetheart party. In Rhymes with Coop, she asks Coop if he could put sunscreen on her back and later asks if she could do the same to him. She also asks Coop if he can swim with her by getting on his board while he and Dennis were going to surf with Lorne and Harley. In Amazing Feat of Strength, she kisses a sign which has Coop's picture on it after making him say that he's her #1 fan. She also tried to give him a good luck kiss which made him uncomfortable. She is annoying and weird. Like a lot of the characters in Kid vs. Cat, she behaves in really dumb and charmless ways. Whenever things don't go her way, she starts to lose her temper and act mean-spirited. In the same episode, she forced Coop to go to her sweetheart party, and when he lied to her by saying he had to do yard work, she told Bert on him. When she asked Coop if he can put sunscreen on her back and lied to her by saying that he needed to watch his board. When she asked Coop if she can do the same to him, he lied to her by saying that he's allergic to coconut oil. When she was trying to get Coop to swim with her and share her snorkel with him, Coop lies to her by saying that he has to go shopping, and when he and Dennis swim away on their boards, this got her mad. Her voice is very irritating and annoying. What's not helping is that she's voiced by the same actress who does Dr. K and Wendy Cooper from the Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World shows. In Season 2, She started to gain jealousy towards Fiona due to realizing she and Coop have a lot in common. Speaking of season 2, in the theme song, she blows a kiss at Coop when Kat was trying to get him with the cannon. Her appearance in that season, her hair changes to a greenish brown. In Crouching Cooper, Hidden Cat, after Lorne and Harley posted Million Cat beating Coop up, she along with Dennis, Lorne, Harley and the rest of Coop's classmates make fun of Coop when Phoebe is supposed to have a crush on him. When Coop left her sweetheart party for the last time despite Kat teleporting him there, she put lip marks on his face off screen, though this can be seen as hilarious. In Kid vs. Kat vs. Christmas, she insults Santa before telling him what she wants. In Flea Brains, when Kat hypnotized Coop and sent him to her house, she thought he wanted a kiss from her and kisses his lips. She and Millie were at their worst in Nuff Said, because a Greenie Girls scout leader forced them and the rest of the Greenie Girls scout troop to spit at Coop and Dennis after they defeated Kat because Kat destroyed their planet. When she along with the scout troop and scout leader were at his house, they spit at him again, including her scout leader after she said hi to him before picking up Millie. Just like her scout leader, she didn't thank Coop when Coop and Dennis defeated Kat. Instead of quitting the scout troop and refusing to listen to her scout leader along with defending Coop, she stays in the scout troop, saves Kat from a tree and got nominated by the mayor to make Coop feel like he's the bad guy. Millie may treat her brother like that, but Phoebe, the same girl who wants him constantly. When she asked if Coop was going to watch her show, when Coop lies to her about moving to Antarctica and asks her if she hits a sour note, she pulls his cheek while making a perfect basketball shot. In the short extra special delivery, when Coop's baseball went into her house, she was constantly trying to get him to kiss her, all because Kat put flowers in her drink. She got her comeuppance at the end by kissing Kat so that Coop would get his baseball back from her. Kat also got his comeuppance for having her cat Honey Fluff stalk him after Kat put flowers in her drink. Excluding her alternate future counterpart in Cat to the Future, Part 2, she has no good reason to be in the series at all, as she contributes nothing meaningful to the plot. In fact, she is just used as a necessary filler in the show. The annoying and screechy thing she said in the episode Never Cry Sheep after learning that Coop got a present from Fiona. WHO is SHE! Exclamation mark. I say that character deserves to be filled for a restraining order. Number 2. Buck Diamond. Much like Millie's scout leader in the episode Nuff Said, Buck Diamond is a character who only appears in one episode and has no purpose in the series other than act like an infuriating, detestable, and mean-spirited jerk who just tortures Coop and Dennis. Like the scout leader, Buck has almost no personality or characterization other than being dumb, blind, and unrealistically cruel and toxic towards Coop and Dennis. What makes Buck worse is that he's even crazier than Millie's scout leader, and he has more screen time than her to show just how detestable and poorly written he truly is. He is an utterly horrible villain, not because he's mean, but it's because his motivations are poor, dumb, and nonsensical. Based on the writing, he is very mean to both Coop and Dennis and does everything he can so he can arrest them just because he thought that they were abusing Kat, even though they really weren't. Buck is infuriatingly paranoid as he never tries understanding any situations properly and keeps jumping to conclusions without any proof. For example, in the first part of Bootsville's Most Wanted, when he stops Coop and Kat from fighting, he roughly asks Coop, "What have you done with his fur?" Exclamation mark. Even though he just met them and doesn't even have any proof, he also doesn't have enough proof Coop is actually abusing Kat in the first part of the episode. His voice, thanks to Brian Drummond, is garbage, as his voice sounds like a terrible Patrick Warburton impression as Drummond tries too hard to sound like Warburton but fails, as his voice for Buck Diamond sounds like a badly done terrible Patrick Warburton impression, similar to Rob Paulson impersonating Tom Kenny while voicing Coconut Fred and Fred Almisen impersonating Larry David while voicing Cranky Kong. He also shouts and makes annoying noises for the majority of his lines, which can get very grating. A lot of his dialogue is pretty poor and cringeworthy to the point where it makes Buck sound like an utter man-child. Next time I catch you hurting that cute little kitty, I'll lock you up and swallow the key. Freeze, I said, punk. You're going down, with a capital down. Don't worry, Mr. Pussy Whistles. Buck's gonna make the rotten kid go away. for a long time. Don't worry, Kitty. Buck promises those two are gonna get washed away by a cleansing rain of justice. Gotcha, punks. Prepare for sweet, sweet justice. Justice? Yeah, right. Do you even care about doing the right thing, Buck? While Buck's design isn't bad by itself, some of his facial expressions, especially the ones where his eyes become all veiny, are extremely annoying and punchable. There are also a few times where his neck goes veiny too, which looks pretty ugly. Much like Old Lady Munson, he is shown to have inhuman abilities that make no sense. One example is the bizarre scene where he instantly breaks a boulder to pieces by using a simple punch from his bare hand. He locks up the mayor just because he didn't change the water in his pet turtle's bowl, which is just plain dumb and unreasonable. Plus, how did he even know this? Has he been stalking the mayor or something? He has committed numerous traffic violations, as revealed by the police. His rabid love for animals is so insane and intense that even he makes Elmira from Tiny Toon Adventures and Peter look like better animal lovers. He is very stupid and falls for Kat's plan that he was pretending to be hurt or injured whenever Coop or Dennis is around him. Throughout the middle act of the episode, Buck drives around Boutilier and Coop and Dennis are always a few feet away from him. He does look in multiple directions, but for some reason, he can't notice Coop and Dennis being normal people doing nothing bad, and also always only looks at them exactly right after Kat finishes setting up each scene to make it look like he's being abused by the two boys. How come Buck can't see Kat playing the victim and framing Coop and Dennis for things they're not responsible for, even though they're just right in front of him and it's painfully obvious? The way Buck keeps noticing the situations at the wrong time is so exaggerated and unrealistic to the point where it's painful to watch. He also tried affecting Coop and Dennis's reputation by making them viral all over Boutilier, saying, "Tonight, on a special episode of Boutillier's Most Wanted, we're advising the public to keep an eye out for these two. They wanted for extreme kitty cruelty." Because of that, Bert was at his worst in that episode for grounding Coop 3 times. He is at his absolute worst in the climax of the episode, where he is also shown to be very destructive by driving like a complete maniac around Old Lady Munson's yard and destroying it, which is just plain horrible. He even laughs like a psycho during the scene while his eyes go red. Seriously. What's with this guy? He keeps threatening to lock Coop up in solitary confinement if he sees him fighting with Kat again. He is shown to be a coward because after Old Lady Munson berates him for acting like a maniac and destroying her yard, he literally tries to flee like a scaredy cat and doesn't take responsibility for his actions. Of course, Old Lady Munson would lash out at you for destroying a yard. Do you ever think about how your actions could affect the feelings of other people? Did you not see this coming? Buck, Old Lady Munson doesn't get arrested for hiring him so he can arrest Coop and Dennis. In the ending of the episode, it is revealed by the police that Buck isn't actually a real animal protection officer but is in fact just a fraud pretending to be one, and this twist doesn't really make his character better or give a valid explanation to why he acts all crazy. In fact, it just further sticks out how much of a pointless filler character he is to the series. Plot hole: if the police reveal that all of Buck's cases get thrown out, then why didn't they sentence him to life sooner if it's implied that he has done some actions just as horrible and psychopathic as the ones he did towards the mayor, Coop, Dennis, and Old Lady Munson? He never realizes Kat's evil nature and the fact that he's the bad guy responsible for all the bad things that happen throughout the episode. He also doesn't realize that Coop and Dennis are innocent, especially since they're only minors, like most of the human characters in Kid vs. Kat. Buck is infuriatingly blind and oblivious of Kat's true colors in a way that it is impossible not to notice a single thing. For all the reasons above, he's the second most insufferable human character in Kid vs. Kat and possibly the second worst character in the entire series who only gets one appearance, since much like Old Lady Munson, his writing is even more ridiculous and mean-spirited than Kat. Number 3. Mrs. Annie Lucia Munson. She's just a typically generic grouchy next-door neighbor to the protagonist. In fact, she has no good purpose in the series whatsoever, as all she contributes nothing meaningful to the main story of Kid vs. Kat, and just shows how annoying, dumb, detestable, and mean-spirited she is. Kat is already a pretty obnoxious character who purposely makes Coop's life stressful and almost impossible to manage. but old lady Manson's inclusion in the series is just to make the poor boy's suffering even worse. The series gives her a lot of screen time, which is very unnecessary. While most of the human characters in Kid vs. Cat are unlikable, blind fools who misunderstand Coop and blame him for all the bad things Cat does, she is, no doubt, the worst offender as she's meaner, louder, more insane, and more unbearable. She makes for a very poor secondary antagonist as she's more irritatingly blind and poorly written than anything else. She has no good reason to despise Coop whatsoever, and it's all because of how foolish and abnormal her character is. Her stupidity, paranoia, and obliviousness of Cat's evil nature is the reason why she accuses Coop for every bad thing that happens to her. Even if the situation is something Coop really can't do, she still blames him for it, which is just plain moronic. She always finds the worst in Coop, even in the smallest situations, and keeps viewing him as a delinquent even though he clearly isn't that kind of person. Even if she doesn't know that Cat is the one causing all the trouble, she shouldn't conclude that Coop is the one at fault. She has no good proof either. Old Lady Munson has seen the way Coop reacts in every situation, and she can clearly see that he's unhappy and not enjoying any of the things happening to her. Can't old Lady Munson tell that Coop is innocent? Her hatred towards Coop is also to the point of wanting everyone to view him as a good-for-nothing individual who deserves to be detested. There are scenes where she tries to badly affect Coop's reputation to make him look bad and cause conflicts in his relationship with other people. The series doesn't even explain why. She's both verbally and physically abusive. She spends most of her scenes insulting, yelling, and even threatening other characters for no justifiable reason, especially to Coop. In the season 2 premiere, something about Fiona. She locks up her niece Fiona only because she was with Coop, who didn't even do anything wrong to her. In the flashback scene of the same episode, she literally crushed Bert, when he was a child, with a fence, which is a sign of her committing child abuse. In Hot Dog Day, when Coop gets chosen to face the given challenges to see if he is worthy of being the new Wiener water keeper for the event, old Lady Munson starts complaining because it is him who got chosen. After that, Coop is given the precious water that he must carry while facing the challenges, and he must not spill even one drop of it, because if he does, he will be banished from Bootsville forever. Well, guess what? After Coop is given the precious water by the previous Wiener Waterkeeper, she spends the rest of the episode trying to make Coop lose by scaring and threatening him, which also includes harshly telling him to spill it, just so he'll get exiled. She was at her worst in Coup d'etat, where she became Coop's substitute teacher after Miss Brannigan quit her job when she had no qualifications to be a substitute teacher. This caused her to straight up attempt to kill Coop, which is beyond horrible and painful to watch. Thankfully, her attempt at harming the poor boy ultimately backfires as she gets knocked out by Cat's exploding weapon and then gets her comeuppance by getting arrested afterwards. What makes it worse is that she tried killing Coop in front of a lot of kids, which is really bad, though. It was later backfired when she gets knocked out by Cat's exploding weapon. She was also at her worst in Bootsville's Most Wanted, where she falsely accuses Coop for animal abuse and constantly cheers for Buck Diamond, a psychopathic false animal protection officer, as he spends the entire episode misunderstanding and sadistically abusing Coop while also not noticing Cat framing Coop and Dennis for multiple crimes, and also always noticing the situations at the wrong times, which is very unrealistic, and not to mention infuriating. During the climax, old Lady Munson sits beside Buck in his vehicle just so she could chase Coop as well and watch him get locked up for things he did not do when he's only a kid. The cops arrest Buck because he was wanted for impersonating an animal protection officer, which is well deserved for his actions, but they don't arrest old Lady Munson for hiring Buck to try to arrest Coop and Dennis. However, she does eventually scold Buck Diamond at the end of this episode after maniacally destroying her yard by driving around it. Much like Cat, she's incredibly sadistic as she enjoys watching Coop suffer. The idea of making her the aunt of Fiona is stupid and face-palming. Furthermore, it's clearly just done on purpose just so Coop can have difficulty spending time with Fiona without getting in trouble. It's basically just another form of torture for Coop. Because of her unjustified hatred towards Coop, she refuses to let him get near Fiona, which is pretty annoying. Old Lady Munson tries her best to keep Fiona as far away from Coop as possible, as she thinks he'll be a bad influence to her. She confiscated many belongings to the children and refused to give it back. She can't do that. What if they tell their parents? Although they would be too hard to deal with because she is so mean, making it possible they would be afraid of her. What's worse is that the reason no parents complain about her behavior is that she also confiscated their toys when they were kids. Technically, this means she can get away with her actions most of the time and the law can't touch or even arrest her. In Let the Games Begin, she stole and confiscated Coop's baseball after Millie threw it too hard, which went into her yard, and when he was trying to get it back from her, she also stole and confiscated toys that belonged to other people, and she also stole and confiscated Coop's toy helicopter along with Bert's toy plane when he was Coop's age, in search and a toy which got Coop and Dennis to get them back from her. In the same episode where she stole and confiscated Coop's helicopter, she even states that whatever's in her yard, it stays there, which proves how entitled she is. Not only did she steal and confiscate people's belongings like she did in the first episode, but she also uses her gnomes as security systems, which Cat activated with a badminton birdie. When Fiona was giving Coop and Bert's soccer ball back, she not only steals and confiscates it, but she gets too overprotective and refuses to let Fiona see Coop. She gets her own bland and annoying filler episode, Down a Creek. She seems to be immortal and impossible to defeat, as flashbacks have shown that she was already alive in the Old West. She also can't be killed by anyone because if one bites her, especially a snake, turns to dust. This is such a lazy explanation to her durability. She also has superhuman strength, which makes no sense. She never realizes that Cat is responsible for everything that happens to her. Old Lady Munson also has the tendency to play the victim in situations, because whenever people don't do things her way, she keeps treating them as the ones in the wrong. She generally doesn't acknowledge her mistakes and doesn't ever feel guilty or remorseful for her actions, which just proves the point that she's an extremely selfish and callous individual who almost never admits that she's wrong. Not to mention, she never apologizes to anyone for her actions, making her heartless as well. She rarely gets scolded or called out for her actions and her behavior by anyone, which makes her more unlikable in the process and a karma Houdini. Like most characters in Kid vs. Cat, she is so oblivious of Cat's true nature in a way that it's impossible not to see anything. In Down the Creek, there is a scene where Cat attacks Coop and Dennis with a rocket launcher right in front of her, but she doesn't notice this despite how obvious it is. In Coup d'etat, she doesn't notice Cat shooting lasers out of his finger and using a weapon, even though she's actually looking at him doing it. In Catch My Drift, she refuses to give her muffins to Bert after he was finished shoveling her driveway, those ridiculous requests she forced him to do, and she burps in Bert's face after eating all the muffins. In Hack Attack, she makes a song of Coop and Phoebe sitting in a tree in her version while wearing Phoebe's shirt. In Bring in the Heat, she wears a yellow leopard mini bikini, which it is not only inappropriate for a kids show, but it comes as fan disservice as she's an elderly overweight lady, much to Bert's fear, thanks to his childhood incident that took place back in his 8th birthday. In the first part of the episode, Bert shows Coop and Dennis a video recording of his 8th birthday party. Things were going well in the party at first until Old Lady Munson crashes the party while shamelessly wearing that overly revealing bikini right in front of Bert and his friends, who were only little kids at the time. Most of the children in the party run away in fear after seeing Old Lady Munson's barely covered body. Right after that, we see Bert and his close friends, Dwayne and Dizzy, freeze from what they just saw, and then Old Lady Munson tries to reach for a 4-leaf clover right in front of them. While she was reaching for it, she carelessly sticks her butt out right in front of the 3 boys, which causes them to severely freak out from the horrible sight. Like Clint Clobber from the G-Day era of Tom and Jerry, and Puffy Fluffy from the infamous SpongeBob SquarePants episode A Pal for Gary. Whenever Coop or Cat doesn't cause problems, or rather Cat causing problems for her and making Coop being the guilt, she appears to be a happy and calming elderly woman, especially when she sees Millie, who she finds her adorable and being the only one kind of person she loves, giving him some kind of a suspiciously split or two-faced demeanor a la Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but not in a good way though. Number 4, Millie Burtenberger. She is an egotistical, spoiled, whiny, rude, annoying, unlikable brat who throws fits whenever she doesn't get her way. Her personality is way too similar to that of Wendy Cooper from the Mario cartoons, but the latter gets punished for her misbehavior by the Mario brothers. As mentioned above, she started the whole incident between Cat and Coop. In other words, she is responsible for all the events of the series. She never believes Coop about Cat's true colors whenever he mentions it, and always blames Coop for all the bad things Cat does. She is very mean to Coop and often insults him. There are even some episodes where she purposely tries to humiliate him in front of others. Millie also seemingly enjoys it whenever Coop gets unfairly blamed for things he did not do, which is very mean-spirited. She rarely gets punished for her actions because her father, Bert, always treats her like a princess. Aside from Cookie Dough, where she did get punished, for some reason, she's the only character in the series who doesn't get treated unfairly by Old Lady Munson, which doesn't make sense. Her voice is very whiny and annoying to listen to. She is very noisy to the point she also has an ear-piercing singing voice, as shown in Storm at Chaz, where she, along with Coop, was torturing Cat and was being told by Old Lady Munson to keep it down. She even tortured Cat again, made everyone deaf, destroyed one of the tomatoes that Old Lady Munson was picking, and made Bert deaf by making him fall off the ladder. Luckily, Old Lady Munson formed a mob and Old Lady Munson threw one of her gnomes at Millie's speakers, causing them to explode. Even though Coop was on them, he did survive. She also screams at the top of her lungs when she doesn't get what she wants, until someone caves in Let the Games Begin. When Bert tells her that she can't keep Cat, she screams until her father changes his mind. She cheats in a Greenie Girl Scout cookie competition against Phoebe by screaming. In class act, she screamed when Coop and Dennis failed to bring Cat back after she, Lorne, Harley, and Phoebe chanted "Bring him back." She screams again when Coop tells Bert that Cat's on the magic cabinet while trying to get him off so Coop would lie, which gets him in trouble. In Pet Peeved, she and her best friend Molly were screaming until Bert forced Coop to help her find Cat. In The Kitty Vanishes, she screams when Cat disappears. Luckily, Bert was there to cheer her up. In Under Destruction, she screamed when she found that her princess castle was destroyed by Cat, which Coop was blamed for it, which caused him to lose his game room privileges. In the same episode that has Molly in it, Molly behaves just like her, and when Cat finds out that she was spending time with her instead of him, he runs away from home until the end of the episode. When they were screaming, it caused the firefighters to think there was a fire, an iceberg to collapse, and the moon to get destroyed. She is always easily fooled by Cat when it comes to acting like the innocent Cat. She thinks he is to fall for all the things Cat did to frame Coop. One example also being in the same episode. After Cat made it look like Coop ate the cookies by pouring milk and cookie crumbs around his lips while he's asleep and tells their dad about him. She can sometimes be dumb and idiotic in some instances. One example is at the end of Down the Drain when Cat, Coop, and Dennis return home in the middle of a rainy day. She sees Cat being covered in mud as she once found him and idiotically starts saying, "Nope, that's not him either," and later shuts the door at them, which is a sign of her stupidity. She always white knights Cat for everything, no matter what he does. In the series finale, when she finds out that Cat is an alien, she still loves Cat and still defends him no matter what. Pretty much fails to find out about his true colors after that. For reasons overall, she even made both Perfect Peter and Darla Dimple look like saints in comparison. In Meow Meow Meow, she lets Cat use Coop's blanket so he can find a place to sleep on, and when Coop was getting his blanket back from Cat, she told Coop to leave Cat alone when he wouldn't leave Coop alone. In Just Me and Glue, she kept distracting Bert when he was supposed to help Coop build the robot, which not only got Cat to attack Coop, which got Coop sent to his room by their father, but when she distracted him again and when Cat was attacking Coop and got Coop and himself glued together, she told Coop to leave Cat alone when Cat was the one that wouldn't leave Coop alone. In Dire Education, she brought Cat into her show and tell when Cats aren't allowed in school, which caused Cat to break into Coop's gym and science class. In Crouching Cooper, Hidden Cat, she gets help from Cat by throwing Coop into Old Lady Munson's yard, which Lorne and Harley recorded her doing, and they, along with Dennis, Phoebe, and the rest of Coop's classmates, laugh at him during school because of what they did. She and Cat do it again by throwing Coop on the merry-go-round, causing him to get sick, which Lorne and Harley recorded as well. She then throws Coop onto the ground at the end of the episode, because she completed a Greenie Girl's self-defense training. In its thorough kit, man, when Kat steals her glasses, she blames Coop for it, and without them on she hits her face on a chair, falls onto the concrete, and runs into Bert. When Bert tells her to watch TV, she crashes into the grill and runs into him again. When she gets too close to the TV, she tells Coop she's watching ponies when she wasn't watching anything. She also runs into the couch and mistakes Kat for a pillow. She also runs into the kitchen table while Coop is eating his breakfast, which causes him to spill his cereal. She even spills all the cereal and milk so she can starve, all because she thought Coop stole her glasses, which she got her comeuppance by tripping on it. And also she mistakes Kat for chicken. She also thinks Coop didn't launch his rocket when he already did while she was holding the whole chicken that she mistook Kat for. She and Phoebe were at their absolute worst, enough said, because, in that episode, Millie's heartless Greenie Girls scout leader blindly blames Coop and Dennis for the destruction caused by Kat without even trying to know the truth, and Millie herself assists her in humiliating Coop instead of quitting the scout troop, not only telling Coop that he should be ashamed but even pretending that she doesn't know who he is. And when her scout leader asks her if Coop lives with her or not, she lies to her by saying he doesn't live with her, forcing Coop to be grounded by their father for 3 months. She, along with Phoebe and the rest of the Greenie Girls scout troop, spit at Coop and Dennis for defeating Kat when Kat destroyed part of their planet and didn't thank them. After that scene, she and Phoebe constantly do good deeds on purpose throughout the episode just to make themselves look like good girls to everyone, and even get away with their cruelty towards Coop, with everyone viewing them as angels. Meanwhile, Coop is viewed by everyone as a vandal and delinquent when he did nothing wrong, but most of the human characters are too unrealistically blind and too oblivious to see it, especially his father, which is very irritating and painful to watch. Number 5. Bert Burtenberger. He has no personality whatsoever. He lacks so much personality that he can shockingly laughably hardly be considered a character. Bert also gets easily fooled by Kat's tricks and blames Coop for almost everything. He barely believes Coop for all the dirty work Kat has done. He punishes Coop for almost everything, usually in season 1, even for the things he never did, thus making him similar to Steven Stotch from South Park. He also doesn't have enough proof Coop is the one responsible for all the bad things that happen, and doesn't even try to understand him at all. Even if it's something Coop really can't do, Bert still blames him for it, which is pretty dumb. Every scene where he unfairly blames and punishes Coop can be mean-spirited and painful to watch, especially those who don't like scenes like these. He is a bland comic relief filler character for the series for the most part. He never trusts Coop for anything when it's all Kat's fault. Bert lacks faith in his son, which is just sad, especially since Coop is only trying to do the right thing. However, Bert is completely oblivious to this, which is just annoying. Whenever other characters blame Coop for Kat's evil doings, he never stands up for him and instead believes that Coop is responsible for all the bad things that happened. The fact that Bert is like this makes him very useless. He rarely disciplines, scolds, or even punishes Millie for the bad things she does, but instead tags along with her and spoils her rotten. How irresponsible of you, Bert. He constantly scolds and punishes Coop for bad things he's not responsible for, without even trying to understand him. Yet he rarely disciplines Millie for being a mean little brat. Weird, right? He can be considered another example of a bad father from another TV show. His design, while passable, looks like a Lawrence Fletcher reject from Phineas and Ferb, as well as looking a lot like the father from Calvin Hobbes. He is so oblivious to Kat's true identity in a way that's humanly impossible. It's also poorly executed, making it come off as very irritating. The things he says when unfairly blaming, punishing, and neglecting Coop, especially whatever Kat does, are mean-spirited to hear. He stupidly mistakes Chubby Cheeks, which is a nickname for Kat's stout replacement, for the real Kat, and uses a fitness program to have him unnecessarily exercise way too much without taking breaks, which is animal cruelty. What is worse is that he wrongfully scolds Coop for saving the world by stopping Kat when he thinks he is torturing Kat, yet he is the one torturing Chubby Cheeks, which makes him a complete hypocrite. Didn't you realize that he is different? but you even made him suffer through exercising without having him taking breaks. He has suffered from a large portion of torture in most episodes of the series, as Bert constantly tends to get injured or at times gets physically harmed by Mr. Cat, notably in Meow Meow Meow. Not to mention that he pathetically tends to allow himself to get abused or even tortured by old Lardy Munson, who is being heartless to him. This not only makes him a butt monkey, but he's a complete pathetic punching bag. Most of the time, Bert doesn't acknowledge how harsh he is towards Coop and really feels bad for the way his son feels. In addition, he mostly doesn't ever think about how his actions can affect Coop's emotions and feelings badly. In Flew the Coop, he puts medicine on a sick Coop's chest when it was supposed to go down Coop's throat, which made Coop smell like old Lady Munson, and thinks the medicine's good for him. He also miseared Coop when Coop was telling him that Cat was bugging Coop. In class act, he confiscated Coop's magic kit after finding Cat's cannon in Coop's room and grounded him until Cat was found. In Just Me and Glue, he didn't bother reading the instructions for the project that he and Coop were about to build, which made Cat destroy them. In One Big Happy Family, he sends Coop to the corner, all because Coop was saving his life from Cat twice, and when Coop accidentally gets him, Millie, and himself trapped, he thinks Coop did it on purpose. When Coop left the corner when he told him not to, he drew a square around where Coop was supposed to be, or Coop would be grounded for eternity, which Coop did anyway because Coop needed to save Millie and his life from Cat. And the kitty vanishes. He lets Coop go to Phoebe's sweetheart's party when Coop lies to her about doing yard work and doesn't realize Phoebe's stalking Coop. However, Coop only went there because Cat teleported him there. He was at his worst in Bootsville's Most Wanted, because he grounded Coop 3 times, all because Cat got Coop and Dennis wanted by Black Diamond. And number 6. And now we get to the worst character in this show, and that is Cat, or I should say, Mr. Cat. Despite being the main antagonist, he is very insufferable and almost as bad as his owner Millie and old Lardy Munson. He has done many sinful deeds to Coop, Dennis, and Fiona that make him downright unlikable. He can also be considered to be one of the worst characters in Kid vs. Cat. He constantly mostly tortures Coop by attacking him, harming him, framing him for stuff he did and easily getting away with it scot-free, foiling Coop's plans, destroying evidence of his true colors just to make Coop look like a fool, and pretending to be an innocent cat to Millie. In Let the Games Begin, the premiere and his debut, he scared Coop while Coop was trying to find his baseball, and he also drew a picture of Coop getting crushed by a rock, which Millie and Bert didn't believe Coop about, and Millie told Coop that he can't because he's a cat, which got Coop sent to his room by Bert. In Pet Peeved, he moves Coop's bed to school while he is asleep and gets him up with sprinklers, which gets Lorne, Harley, and the rest of his classmates to laugh at him. When Coop tells him that Millie doesn't want him anymore, he has his hands turn into buzzsaws and he tears Coop up. He even moves Coop's bed on a mountain. He was at his worst in the series finale The Cat Went Back, where he erases everyone's minds, except for Coop's and Dennis's, so nobody can know who he truly is, and goes back to fighting with Coop. So he won without getting full comeuppance or defeat. He is just the embodiment of a generic doomsday villain who wants to help his pals take over the world, or even the universe. He is infuriatingly painfully cunning, clever in a bad way, and is easily quick to get away with almost anything that he has done instead of getting caught for once. Whenever someone besides Coop and Dennis finds out about his true colors, he erases their minds just so he won't get caught. The only reason why he manages to get away with his evil doings most of the time is just because of how annoyingly blind most of the characters in the series are. He tries way too hard to fit into the Karma Houdini trope and shockingly makes characters such as Bundy and Chester the Duck look like saints in comparison. He can even get to be pretty scary sometimes. In Tomcat Foolery, he makes a terrifying nightmare face after Coop pranks him while he is checking some plans. This can scare a lot of little children. There are also episodes in the series that try to make us root for him, since Coop usually thinks he's trying to take over Earth. But due to all the horrible and sinful things Cat has done in previous episodes, Coop's behavior is perfectly understandable. The show tries to make us think that Cat's main goal on Earth is to collect fishy frisky bits and help his people, The show is trying to make us think his main goal has good intentions. However, if you look closely, you will see that it's just part of his real main goal. He's only stealing fishy frisky bits to keep his people alive while struggling to enslave humanity and rule the Earth since the 5th planet his race took over in 10 years is dying. He is practically a rip-off of Zim from Invader Zim without his charm and likability. On top of that, he is also a blatant rip-off of Bubbles from My Goldfish is Evil as well. Despite being unfairly cunning, he is also way too incompetent to win his generic schemes to take over the world while torturing Coop as he never learns his lesson. And speaking of his incompetence, because of him he caused Bert to mistake Chubby Cheeks for the real cat and tortures him by having him unfairly exercise him too much. Not only that, but he idiotically also got Millie, including Coop and his friends, including his love interest Fiona, captured by Cat Commander's forces. My god, how many characters are unlikable? Okay, let's get to the best characters so those worst characters will get out of my mind. To the best characters. So what we have, number 1, Fiona Munson. She is one of the likable characters in the series overall next to Coop and Dennis. The design is both cute and beautiful, as some fans might call her attractive. Kiara Zamni gives out the great performance of voicing her. Her relationship with Coop was cute. She also helps Coop to foil Mr. Cat's plans. As how cool and tomboyish she was. She is also a better girlfriend than Phoebe, who is nothing but a creepy yandere to Coop. She does have some of her moments where she had saved Coop from nearly getting killed by Mr. Cat. She even stayed strong in the entire series, aside from her unlikable moments. For all the reasons overall, she's also a done right version of Phoebe. Number 2, Dennis Chan. I have nothing to say about him, but still he's good. And number 3, Coop Burtenberger. For reasons overall, he was one of the likable characters in the series, followed by Dennis and Fiona. His relationship with Fiona Munson was cute. His design is decent, despite being a watered-down version of Timmy Turner. Erin Matthews did a decent job voicing him. He is very cunning. Despite how unfairly treated he was most of the time, we'll always feel sorry for him, as he's considered to be innocent. He had some moments where he had won most of his fights with Cat by foiling his plans, notably being I'm okay, you're a cat, where he gave Cat a comeuppance for his actions by throwing him into an electrified pool. Many of his moments are likable where he spends time with Dennis to foil Cat's plans, or even saving his father, Bert, from impending doom caused by Cat. His alternate persona, Bad Boy Coop, is pretty cool and badass, where he had also called out Old Lady Manson for her actions and her behavior in the same episode. Despite his unlikable moment, he did have some moments where he had teamed up with Cat for some time. Despite his rivalry conflict with him, he does occasionally make mistakes in a few episodes, but he always acknowledges them, and he tries to make up for what he did wrong. Furthermore, whenever he does make mistakes, it's never to the point of being too mean-spirited or painful to watch. Coop is generally a good kid who is very kind and loyal to his friends. He's well-intentioned and tries his best to do the right thing. Bad qualities: he was constantly treated as a butt monkey by other characters, notably being Mr. Cat in almost every episode. His design, while decent, looks like a watered-down version of Timmy Turner. He had a few unlikable moments in the show, which are not limited to. Also in the same episode he tries to kill Bert, Millie and Dennis when he turned evil, though he did stop his attempted murder and redeem himself at the end. In Fat Cat, he makes Cat fat to the point where he couldn't go to the vet. Install that jazz. He, along with Millie, torture Cat with sound, which are Coop's drum set, Millie's stereo and even Millie's speakers. Well, that's it folks. Nothing special about it. And my god, why would I watch this show? It even make me even sad or angry seeing main characters suffer. Onto the verdict. I'm giving this show 1 out of 10. This show has got to be one of the worst Jetix and Disney XD shows ever existed. And I wanted to say, congratulations, you destroyed my childhood. What were they thinking when they made this shit? Well, and that concludes this review.